Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Plan for the Magic. Oh man, so glad you could make it and listen to our latest podcast, which I believe is episode 22. You know me, it's like we generally know the number. I'm Audrey. Over there's my friend Dave. We've been in the weeds if you've been listening recently, and in this episode, we are bringing it down to basics. We are talking about how do you make those first few decisions when you're planning your next Walt Disney World vacation. Let's go back to basics.
This is another Disney podcast production.
Hello, everyone. Audrey,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. How are you doing?
Today I'm feeling magical.
Oh, there it is. I love
There's been lots of things that we've talked about, like breaking news, Dave's going to Disneyland, breaking news, Dave's going to Margaritaville, and breaking news. We've just been all over the place. And unfortunately, a lot of that has to do with everywhere we go to look to go, it's absurdly expensive. Not that it wasn't before, but now right. I mean, Kim was telling me last night in a fit of emotional conversation of like, Dave, a bag of chicken used to be $3. Yeah. It's now $9.
Right.
And so,
Super true.
As the one who doesn't do the grocery shopping in our house, I sometimes need the perspective
of reminder.
Yeah, that's where all of our money is going. Anyway, no one cares about that because all of us are dealing with it, and we press on because we live in freedom. We live in the best country in the world, and we should not whine and take that for granted. So,
well, I will say, I think it's helpful to keep thinking about vacations, even if you're going to have to save a little bit longer for the next one. For me, with all the stressors, regardless of what it is, if it's, kids, work, whatever's going on, having that next vacation, even if it is a mere twinkle in your eye at this point, it's always something to look forward to. So
back to the basics.
To the basics.
I definitely want to cover that because, Audrey, I tried to call you today. You unfortunately have a sick little one at home. And then you were also trying to work. So you were like professional mom all together. And so I tried to call you and let you know what was going on. And then I was like, you know what? This is perfect. I'll just save it for our show that we're recording tonight. And now I promise you, this is official because I've bought airplane tickets.
Okay.
But I need your help.
Well, let's do it.
Okay. So
where are we going? What are we doing?
We are going to Walt Disney World. The sweet little girl before we start the sweet girl that you saw right before we started the show, my daughter, who was 3 yesterday and is now all of a sudden 11 and getting ready to go to middle school next year. It's absurd.
It is absurd. Really.
She has randomly, I think I said this before, but she's been asking me a lot about going. And as a daddy who took his daughter a lot, Disney World, I don't want to say was our thing. Disney World is our thing. When my daughter looks back, she's going to associate, hey, I did all these fun things with my dad. No, hey, I always went to Disney with my dad. That's just what we did. So this will be, I always have to look. We live 790 miles. I have something up there that tells me how far. And this will be her 11th trip. So
11 for 11.
So dad has some issues, clearly. And she gets to be she was able to be my excuse a lot. But so here's the thing. Let me pull up my notes because I booked all of this today because I was like, I need to jump. So we are going August 21 through 25. Yes, I know it's going to be 800,000 degrees.
Okay. You just prep for it.
Yeah, this is not anything new. We've gone this time a lot. And Audrey, take a wild guess why we're going that time of year.
Because your schools are still not in session and everybody else's schools are in session.
And there's a legit party that's back in full swing.
There's a Mickey's Not So Scary.
There you go. So for those of you who care, the first time we took her, she was 3.5 years old, and we went in September, and we went to Mickey's Not So Scary. So that is the first big thing. Okay, so here's the deal.
Yeah.
This is my a little bit differently from the DVC queen over there.
Yeah.
Hello, Miss Polly.
I feel like I think I'm a princess.
You are.
Plus I'm in. So
let me tell you what we were looking at. Okay. So I was going to buy my tickets through Undercover Tourist, which we've talked about as a great resource for, you save a little bit. Like I think we saved $62. You used to save quite a bit, but hey, every penny counts, right? Every penny counts. And I was going to rent a car from there for 4 days, no park hopper, and a rental car, $1,199 for 2 humans.
Okay.
So I have to remind everybody, remember when I axed my annual pass? So it feels more expensive this time because I'm actually buying myself a ticket.
Yeah.
We found Hilton just bought one of our favorite off-property places that we've talked about before on this show, which was Mystic Dunes, which is very close to property and very nice. If you remember, I told you I went with my parents in a 2-bedroom and it was 1,700 square feet. Well, Hilton recently bought them, and they're still in the same price range, and so we had 4 days for $568. Great deal. Love it.
Great deal.
I also have to remember I have a car and I don't have a pass anymore, so it's probably gone up. But the last time I went, I remember it was $25 a day to park, so that's an additional $100 right there.
Yeah,
bringing our grand total to $2,357.
Okay, I'm gonna pause you there.
Okay, so
we have a 4-day park ticket, no park hopper.
Yes.
So the first thing this is just back to sort of basic, how do we want to structure our trip, kind of planning questions, is what your park day, resort day, or really even park time, resort time ratio will be for your trip. We've talked often about how you guys like to travel, which is being in the park as much as you can.
Right.
So for park days, no park hopper, off property resort, which is a great resort at a very significantly reduced rate.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And we've got on ground rental car, your own transportation. Okay. Great. Just so that's a really great and succinct way of what are those first few questions you're asking when you're planning a trip. You've figured out your dates. And then as you think about your budget, you've already made some choices about on property, off property, but I would love to hear the Mickey's Not So Scary. So when we talk about how you're going to spend your money on tickets and park days, do you make room? How much room in your budget do you make for these extra things?
Right.
So
and
you guys,
keep in mind,
are going to go to the party.
Yes. So keep in mind that party gets more expensive the closer you get, and so we are actually going at the cheapest time. So it's $109 per ticket. So I think the opening day is $139, and they're going to charge that because they know all the vloggers want to come and cover the park and get their views, so they're going to make them pay top dollar. And then it's $109 through all of August and maybe a little bit more, and then it starts to peak up like $119, $129, $139 as you get somewhere there. Those prices may not be right, but there's a bulk, there's a big chunk in the middle that it's $109 per person for a non-annual pass holder.
Got it.
So that's unpacks
great.
that.
And so for other people thinking about where they're going to stay, these are mostly budget questions you're going to be wrestling down first. On property, off property, tickets. There are a lot of those special, I think I went back and looked, and episodes 11 and 12 are where we talk a lot about kind of asking these important questions, like what kind of vacation do I want? So we're not going to repeat that. You can go back to listen to that in episode 11. And episode 12 is the one where we talk about these great resources like Undercover Tourist. So go back and listen to that. But I do want to call out these extras. So Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is one. There are dessert parties. So pay attention to those. I just don't want those to sneak up on people at the last minute. I love your strategy of going early in the season. The Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party has a longer season than if the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party returns, which we don't know yet, but that's like a very tight window of 6 weeks or so, maybe a little longer than that. Okay, I love that. Just wanted to kind of frame that around these sort of first steps in this just planning 101.
You did exactly what I wanted you to do and break it down, because as it turns out, Audrey, everything that I just told you is a lie.
Wait, what?
We crunched some numbers today and we looked at some other options.
Okay.
And this is what I wanted to talk about, because how many times, I'm going to make myself full screen here if you're watching the video. How many times have I preached about it's cheaper to stay off property when you have a car, you get all these opportunities. You got the bus system that wastes. Hey, we're going for a shorter trip. We're stuck and we're stuck in this Disney transportation, or we got to rent Uber if we want to spend more time like at the parks.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what?
Are y'all staying on property?
Let me share with you when we threw out another scenario, what we found.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we looked at so just so you know, this is worth talking about. I don't know how long this is going to continue. Today's date that we're recording this is Wednesday, May 18th. Yep. Right now, if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, I believe you can get 25% off of some rooms at some resorts. Or is it any resort?
The percentage discount often increases with the price of the resort.
There you go.
So for the value resorts, I don't even know if they offer one, but it would be the lowest discount.
Yeah.
Moderate would have a moderate discount, and then the deluxe have a larger discount.
I think you're right. When I saw it on there, I think it probably did say up to real small and 25% real big.
Right.
So
it might be like 10, 15, and 25 or something. I don't know what the numbers are, but that's typically how they do those.
So at least in the value resorts, because that's where we love to stay. We love lots of Disney theming because we've got a youngster.
Yeah.
The All-Star Sports was the only one that offered a discount. I don't want to stay there just because I think out of all of the All-Stars and Pop, I believe that's the only one that the rooms have not been updated.
I was just going to say, I bet that's why.
So I don't want, we've never stayed there, but I would rather have the new Murphy bed and the extra room when we don't need it, and the sitting table area. Like if you've done look at the Pop refurbishment, look at the movies and music you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And they've gone away from carpet, which in my opinion is a way cleaner or way more sanitary, I guess is the way to say it. So anyway, so here's what's actually happening.
So your stuff. Okay.
Yes. Here's what's actually happening.
I'm ready.
We're still. Let me talk about our flights. So we live in the Hampton Roads, Virginia area. So that is Norfolk, Virginia Beach,
Hampton.
Yeah, Hampton, Suffolk, Portsmouth, Chesapeake. Yeah, so we're probably most notable on the map is we're a massive naval area. Like we live literally one stoplight from the Master Jet Air Base here in Virginia Beach. So depending on which way the wind is blowing or which way they're flying, the jets are rattling the windows. But thankfully, we live close to a middle school and elementary school, so they hardly fly over that. It's about once a month that they fly over. I don't think that's the reason, but I like to believe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we booked Frontier.
Okay.
Round trip.
Yep.
Leaving on a Sunday, coming back on a Thursday. Okay. With all of your stupid, got to pay for your baggage fees, got to buy your seat.
All the extra little nitty pickies. Yep.
$519.22.
Total.
Yeah.
Okay.
For two people, I was like, that's why I bought that today, because tomorrow it'll be $900.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets tricky. We were all set and ready to go to music. Micaiah loves All-Star Music. We've stayed there before. It has been updated, like we said.
Yes, that's right.
And are you ready for this? Now we are going to drop one tier. We're going to drop one day, and that's because we have the Mickey's Not So Scary. But you know what we got? Now, let's back up. When I was staying off property, we only got 4-day, one park.
Zero park hopper.
Zero park hopper. Yep. No Genie Plus.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We are staying. Yeah. We are staying at either music. Pop is $44 more a day. And I'll talk to you why I haven't pulled the trigger and why I really want to go there. We'll unpack that real. But I'll go. So we're if we choose music, we'll do 3-day
park hopper. Okay.
including Genie Plus.
Yeah.
Won't need the car because we're staying on property.
Right.
And Mears Connect is $64 with tax round trip, which is $238.44 cheaper than staying off property.
Wow.
And you know what it is?
Because
it's
the rental car
and having to pay for parking. Yeah. That is almost $450 just for the rental car and paying the parking fee.
Okay. So review scenario 2.
Here we go.
We are now on. So this is a great illustration. We just went through option 1, and for some people, that's going to be the way they do it. Option 2 now is on property, complimentary transportation except to and from the airport, no rental car, a 3-day ticket with Park Hopper and Genie Plus. Depending on what parks you go to, that's a huge deal. We talked about that last episode. Genie Plus can be different with different parks, but that's great. And then you have Mickey's Not So Scary, which we also talked about in the last episode, where even though the party begins at an official time,
7 p.m.,
party attendees are invited into the park
4 p.m.
4 p.m. And remember the description of my fantastic day at Magic Kingdom, which did not begin until 5:30.
Right.
So I think that's amazing. I want to hear why you're on the fence about Pop Century.
It's simply so here's there. Okay. Let me unpack everything about why I haven't booked it yet. There's 2 reasons. One is more frustrating than the other, and that is park times have not been released for August.
Yeah.
So that's what's frustrating. And why that's frustrating is that could make or break if we do 3 or 4 passes. Because here's the thing. In Disney's mind, like, because you mentioned it early on in this episode when I said, hey, why are we going at this time? You said everybody's back in school, but in our area, they don't go back to school until after Labor Day. Like, so it's like the middle of the first week of September before our kids go back. It was like that when we were growing up and you were here. Like, I love it because I feel like we get this long summer. And basically, from mid-August on, anywhere you go, you're not dealing with the same amount of crowds that you were dealing with in June and July. So it is a bonus for our parents locally. Okay. Or for families here locally. But here's the reason. So 1A. So the like not having park times is killing me because this will be considered off season as far as Disney is concerned, which means Animal Kingdom could close at 5 or 6 p.m. and Hollywood Studios could close at 7 p.m.
Yes.
So I want to be very strategic about how many days and park, like, because to me, it's like I would rather go somewhere else and park hop later in the day to, say, Hollywood Studios versus getting there early and fighting everybody that's all trying to do those same rides and get their Genie Plus Lightning lanes. But like, I don't want to go after 2 p.m. if it closes at 8.
Right.
And I would say there's a very high likely that that's going to be the case. And that's also going to be very highly likely it will be the case at Animal Kingdom. So that's killing me. And then B, obviously we jump in, like I'll tell you, it's $1,500 for the 3-day Park Hopper and Genie Plus. And then it's like $1,810 adding that 4th day. So that's a pretty big jump.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is a big jump.
That's like a couple of days worth of food in the park. You know, like that's
for sure.
So that's my conundrum.
Like if your budget is a pie, like this is where thinking about all the different combinations of ways to leverage time in the park, and then like, you know, the value of time. This is the thing of like, is Genie Plus worth it? Well, it depends on what rides you want and how much time you're willing to stand in line. So yeah, I think there are so many different sort of options for that breakdown. And when you're adding a Genie Plus here or a Mickey's Not So Scary, a 4th park day is a significant addition. That bottom line. Like at some point you got to say this is the whole pie. The pie is not getting bigger.
So yeah, I think that's good to like all of the things that you got away. Like this is why we've been like poking fingers at me about, good luck trying to wing it now. Like and then throw on top of this the reservation system that's killing everybody. I could care less if Park Hopper was as soon as the park opened and you didn't have to reserve a park. None of this I would get a 3-day and not even think about it.
Not think of it. Isn't that so remarkable? And to your point about park hours, I mean, for us, I think it was maybe a week before we got there, they moved the open time from 9:00 to like 7:30 at Animal Kingdom. Right. And so and Epcot opened an hour and a half early, which can really impact how you want to tour parks, especially with a park hopper. I think without a park hopper, you've got your park, you're going to deal with it the best you can. I think with a park hopper, it does become more complicated of who's opening early, who's staying late, and how the order from one to the other. My only other thought about Pop Century is the time of year you're going and the likelihood of afternoon storms. And I think it is important to consider that the Skyliner, does not work when there are thunderstorms. So, I say that just for folks to be aware that when it works, it's an incredibly efficient mode of transportation. When it does not, it can get very frustrating, partly because those resorts tend to not have lots of buses running. In fact, I think they're usually running once an hour from the resort to the parks. I guess it's Hollywood Studios and Epcot where they have the Skyliner going back and forth too. So, August, you're going to have some thunderstorms. So,
so you said, you asked why the Pop thing. Well, and the Pop, like, honestly, it's because of the Skyliner. Because of how that opens up. Because again, we've talked about, like, for the most part, I would say, yes, storms are going to come and go. Typically that time of year, the only pushback that I have to your comment is typically time of year, you're like 3 to 5 p.m. is your storms. And that's not typically when we would be trying, but that doesn't matter. There could be something that forms off the coast and then you get an all day crazy thunderstorm, not just rain, all day crazy thunderstorm. And it's closed all day. Like, and then it's like, do you want to go to the park? So you're always taking a risk. I think like August to November, you're always taking a risk of going there because that of weather will be hurricane and just crazy things that whip up. But that, like, as when it works, it is a significant time saver over the bus network.
It's unbelievable. It really is. It's
and you can't go direct anywhere from Pop. You have to get off and change, or at least loop through another one, and it's still quicker.
It is. And I mean, even if you think about, like, weather aside, if you can leverage that in the mornings for at least 2 parks, I don't know if you're we haven't talked about where you're going and when you're making those park reservations. But I think that Skyliner it's especially in the mornings. And you're totally right. I mean, later, like at park closing, I don't think you're going to have that kind of weather issue. I just
Not
say
typically.
That from experience last summer when we got stuck at Caribbean Beach in the pouring rain because we did a half ride and then the storm came and they're like, no more.
There will be a couple and like Pop Century, I'm just like we stayed there in October, like, and so for like past reference, for past reference, when Kim and I started going pre-kids, that's always where we stayed, except for the one time we stayed at Caribbean Beach and did the whole like deluxe meal plan or the middle of the road meal plan that included one sit down. We always were at Pop. We loved Pop, and like it was the cheapest. Like it was back then. It was like maybe $10 or $15 more a night than the All-Stars. And it was such a bigger jump. And so I like the food there. I like the food court. Like everything about it was a bonus for us.
You can walk right across the bridge and get to the Art of Animation food court, which also has some really good food.
Yes. And so we experienced that. Now, Brandon and Krista had their vehicle, but like almost everywhere we went, we were on the Sky Ride except for Magic Kingdom.
I remember you reporting back and having to confess that you liked it more than you thought you would.
Oh, yeah. Mostly because the convenience is amazing.
I totally agree. I was thinking about how you described these two scenarios, and I just want to call people's attention to why it's important to not purchase your park tickets early on in this planning process. Once you have purchased a park ticket from Walt Disney World, you can upgrade it, but you cannot downgrade it. Or even from Undercover Tourist. So your scenario one, had you jumped in and purchased this 4-day park ticket, depending on, what the price difference is, and sometimes it's pretty minimal between like a 3-day with a park hopper versus a 4-day without a park hopper. But, as we think about the steps, spending time thinking about your budget, researching these extras. If you're going to spend money on a Mickey's Not So Scary, that could very well, as it mostly does, impact the number of days. Right. So I know sometimes you're like, I'm going to book my hotel and I'm going to get my park tickets. I just want to encourage people to pause just for a hot second before you do that and think about all of the things you want to do, what your budget is, because that could really inform if you want to spend time at the resort. Like, I've just made this decision a little bit impulsively in the past, and then I've thought later, we probably don't need that extra day, but now I'm locked into it. So
now here's something I want to do, because I had my mind very close to made up, and you just led in to where I was going to tell you, like, hey, here's where I think I'm at, but I wanted to present this because I knew, and just to be honest with everyone listening and watching, we didn't plan this. Audrey, like, I knew this was a back to basics, but I thought, man, if I save this for the show, I can share this stuff with Audrey and she can like pick it to shreds and talk about like what we're doing and the decision process that goes, and it would just line up perfectly. So that's why, well, in my mind, I thought and hoped it would line up perfectly. I don't know that it did, but I feel like it's working really well.
It's so great to, it's great to have a real trip to talk about and to think about it, because sometimes these real things scenarios they can get a little theoretical. So I can't believe that you were literally doing it like in the last day, because this is perfect.
So here's where I think we're at, and you like I said, you led into it perfectly with the not buying your tickets thing. No matter which place that we use, I'm almost certain only going to buy the room, a 3-day ticket, and Genie Plus.
Great.
And here's why.
You can't buy Genie Plus until you're there. Or have they changed that?
Say that again.
You can't buy Genie Plus until you get there.
Yeah, I believe that ends June 8th, which is why I want to do that. Yeah. So unfortunately, if you're not buying your tickets really, really, really soon, this whole part is going to be like not for you, but it works for me. So I'm going to take Audrey's expertise and use it here real quick. Okay. So, I'll recap just since we got sidetracked there. Buying the room, buying a 3-day, no park hopper, and Genie Plus. And here's why. Now, and see why this matters and why I wanted to say this is because your first question is when I start talking about, okay, we're going to be there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thursday, we leave. The first question that anybody's going to ask, well, what time are you landing on Sunday? Yeah. So that's the first, very important. So we land like 1 p.m.
Okay.
So by the time we grab our luggage, mirrors connected, get to the hotel, get checked in, get to our room, realistically, I think we can leave the hotel around 3.
Yep, I think that's right. 2 hours.
Maybe, but like, we'll say that, okay? Yep. So here's the thing. That full day pass, we're going to obviously use, because it's we can't get there that early in the day and not go. Like it would be devastating. Agreed. But it is foolish to have a park hopper that day. Unless Epcot is open till 1 a.m. and then we'll think about it. Right. So there's no need for a park hopper on that first day in my scenario as it is right now, not knowing park times.
Yep.
Okay. Park hours. Then you've got Monday.
Can I pause for a quick second?
Please, go.
Is there a Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party on Sunday?
We tried really hard. It is the 23rd. So that is the Tuesday while we're there.
But if it were happening, that would be
golden
the perfect
ticket.
day to use it.
100%.
You don't even have
that's
to
what
worry
I was going
about
for.
a park ticket. That's going to be a party day. Okay,
Yeah.
but that's not possible. So
I was 100% going, but there is work days didn't work for when that was an option.
Yeah, totally
or days off of at work. Okay, so
gotcha.
And then I think because we don't want to lose Tuesday, is maybe that's the day we buy a park hopper.
Okay.
So we can go wherever we want to until 4:00.
Okay.
And then jump over. I don't know that that's still the right strategy.
Right.
Maybe it's Wednesday, which is our last day. But then also, let's just wipe all of that off the board and talk about the advantage of waiting and choosing it only for the days that you want based on what the weather looks like the week of while you're there.
How do you do that? Can you do that with tickets?
You can, again, like you said, you can add anything to a ticket. You can't take it away. I can call and say, hey, I'm going to the parks tomorrow. Can I add a park hopper? Yeah, you sure can.
So it would you have to add it for the rest of your trip, right?
No, I can just do it for one day. I can do it for Tuesday and I can do it for Sunday and Thursday if I wanted to.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, you can always just you can add what you want to your ticket because even though it's a package that we're buying,
right?
You can always change your ticket. Like they're not going to know. Like it's kind of like the way. Let me give a good example. Disney's not going to know. All they're going to know is that you have park access for these 4 days, right?
Right.
Because, and I'll give you an example of how I know that. When the first time I bought my annual pass, I booked my tickets through Undercover Tourist, and it was significantly cheaper, maybe by like almost $100.
Yeah.
And then I took that, and what is awesome is whatever the retail is for that ticket package that I bought was applied to my annual pass.
Yes, that I knew. So you get. Yeah. Okay.
So that's the bonus. I don't know if that's still the case now, but it was way back when I got my first ever annual pass.
Yeah.
So it was like, I think I paid like $400 and something, and it was like 580 was applied because that was the ticket package that I bought, but I didn't pay for that. So if that still works when annual passes come back, and I have been reading on this extensively because I was like, I'm not buying this package if this is coming, but it is. In all likelihood, it's going to be August because they know it's going to be slammed all the way through summer. And then when it does it, then the likelihood of them opening it mid to late August is most likely.
That makes a lot of sense.
Which is great. So I can then apply what I did.
Yes, what you're investing now to your annual pass. That's
so I've got some options. So that I think, unless you want to unpack some of what I just said.
No, I think it's really smart to start with the lowest and then add these as you go. I want to just clarify a little bit about what we were talking about with Genie Plus. Right now, for people who are staying on property and want to add Genie Plus to every day that they have a ticket, you can do that ahead of time. It can't be for certain days. It has to be for every single day. But they announced this week that they're doing away with that so that for really any ticket, you're going to have to wake up and purchase Genie Plus every day that you want it in real time. So I don't know if we're going to the next step, but we've determined what our park/resort days. You've got your resort. You're figuring out this budget of like ticket, extra, Genie Plus, that kind of thing. I think the very next thing people may want to do is make their park reservations, but I would invite people to pause for one quick second and think about dining first, primarily because if there are advanced dining reservations that you're interested in that are really going to be a deal breaker for your trip, you can go back a few episodes where apparently Chef Mickey's was a deal breaker. We had to do that on this last trip we took. But if you have a particularly in-demand advanced dining reservation you're trying to get, having that reservation the latest in your trip, so the closest to the last day you will be on property, the higher the likelihood that you'll get that at the 60-day mark. That may, I would say that matters, especially if that advanced dining reservation is in a park, but not always. You might, like us, want to have your Chef Mickey's reservation paired with your Magic Kingdom day, even though Chef Mickey's is at a resort,
Right.
not in the park. So just think for a minute how much dining matters to you if you're going to do some advanced dining reservations for some table service meals, and what your priority is for those. And then that may influence
Right.
what your park reservation schedule looks like as well. And then I feel like at that point, once you've kind of thought I think you're fine to go ahead and book those park reservations.
Can I, about ADR, advanced dining reservations, can I ask you a question that I'm not sure of the answer of?
Sure. Yeah.
If you are staying on property, you are 60 days. If you are staying off property, is it still 60 days or is it 30?
So the difference with it is 60 days, but when you are on property, you're allowed to book all days of your resort stay at the 60-day mark.
Okay.
When you're off property, you can only do it for each individual day at the 60-day mark. So if you're staying for 4 days, but you're staying off property, you're calling for 4 consecutive mornings to book that day's advanced dining reservations, or doing it online. If you're staying on property, and that's why I say for people who are staying on property, if you are there for 4 or 5 or 6 days, you're going to have the most availability on the 6th day of your stay, because only people who are staying on property have that, and who are staying on property and staying that long are trying to get that day. Everybody else can only do it at exactly the 60-day mark.
So I'm willing it. It has been pre-children since I've had Ohana that I've raved about on all of our shows.
I know.
So I'm willing it, but if not, I am okay with Skipper Canteen. That has become my jam. And Matthew, when he went last weekend, he was able to get that with Brandon and Krista, and they had lunch there.
Which one, Skipper?
Skipper?
Or Ohana? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I was, and you, again, do this in real time. I think you have to have a park? You know what I haven't done is messed around on the My Disney Experience app since we've gotten home to know what I can do without a park reservation or a ticket. I don't currently, I guess I have our annual pass, but I don't have a reservation for a stay. So, but I know you can look for dining reservations. Like right now in real time, it is 7:18 on May 18th. What's a cool thing to do is to open the app and look for what is available on May 19th or May 20th, just so you get a sense of how many people cancel reservations 24 hours ahead of time. And you'll see, I think I was posting this on Instagram, for a series of days, I took screenshots of basically everything. There was, Oga's was popping up 24 hours in advance. So we can do it. I feel like we're going to get you to Ohana.
I'll take it. I don't know if she'd like it or not, but I love it. Brazilian steakhouse is it's so good.
Yeah.
And where it's at is so amazing. Like, she's never been there. I wonder, I'm curious to know, what I think would be cool. I'm pretty sure an 11-year-old would not care about, let's go check out the resorts. Unfortunately, where I'm all like, honey, let's just go hang out at the resorts. Let's go to shopping, go do that.
I know.
But no, they don't care.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
My kids, I think I don't know. They really loved goofing around at the Polynesian. And I will say, I've said this 1,000 times, the cast members, my parents were here visiting this past weekend, and they hadn't seen all the pins that we collected. And we got talking about how much pin trading we did at the Polynesian while we were there, and how much we love the cast members. And anyway, maybe she'll like it.
Yeah, shall see. And that's another thing that I love. There wasn't a day in October when we were at Pop that we didn't just head on over, eat and then wander through the store for a minute and then go back to the room. I love looking at all that stuff. And nothing changed. And every day it was all the same stuff, but I had to go walk through and look at it. and I always get a magnet of wherever we stay. So that was I got a pop magnet. And
we do ornaments. Yeah. All right. So I feel like this was a
real life example.
A real life example of this is the kind of thing I'm thinking about. That arrival day, I think, is a really important thing to pay attention to. I think this is really good. I feel like we could go on and on. I don't want to
and that's what's what's killing me about the map. I mean, about the park hours not being updated yet, is because I could be like that first day is it's not important. It's not like the most important day that we're there, but it's like it mattered. Like the park reservation that's open the latest is where we want to go.
That's right. I think you just have to,
which it's going to be Epcot.
I was going to say, I think at this point, the days, the times might change a little bit, but I think historically Epcot is got to be where you go. I think the good news is Remy's is going to be a Genie Plus ride by then. And depending on what you want to do, you can book. We already have talked about this with Genie Plus, but you'll be able to book 2 or 3 of those Genie Plus reservations for way into the evening. And
the biggest thing now is Guardians is upon us. So that's another thing that stinks. If I wake up at 7 a.m. that morning and choose it, and what if I get 11:30 in the morning? And we're not going to be there till 3, right? There's so many.
The individual lightning lanes that you pay for, you can select your time.
Okay. Is that going to be a pay only, or is it going to be?
Yes.
Okay.
It's virtual queue and pay. There's no standby queue at all. Well, when it opens.
Yeah.
Who knows what can change by August, but.
Wait, so you're telling me the only way to ride that attraction is to pay for it extra?
No, there's a virtual queue as well.
Okay. So try to book that first, right?
Yes. Well, if you really want it I would pay for it. Or you can run the risk of doing the virtual queue. And I do think this is, so only on-property guests can book that at 7 a.m. So that's what I would do, because then all the off-property guests are going to be using the virtual queue.
I would like to believe, based on what is happening in the United States at that time of August, that meaning that everybody will be back in school except for a few states up and down the East Coast. We're not the only ones that go to school that late.
That's right.
But Florida will be back in school it's pretty it's pretty early. But again, and that's why I typically do Thursday to a Monday, so where it's heavy weekend, and this time I was like, let me try heavy weekday, see if that makes a difference.
I bet it does.
But I'm hoping it'll be a little bit again, I don't think we've talked about this at length. I don't think it's going to, it's still we're smack dab in the middle of the 50th. It's not going to be less crowded.
No.
But
All right.
Well, thanks for helping me.
That was so great.
And then as we get closer, I need to re-listen to our episode about our strategery for how to make the lightning lane work. But I'm just going to be honest. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to call you and you're going to walk me through it.
Yeah. And this is the thing we're learning and we're relearning, and then we have to relearn again because these things are changing. So hold our strategies loosely. And
if you're this deep in it, we'll share some news that is, I don't know that it's that new, but I think it was maybe last week. There are several attractions that are coming off of the virtual queue.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is it virtual queue?
The individual lightning lane.
Yeah. And going back to paid. I don't remember the whole list, but it was Mickey and Minnie's Railway, Space Mountain. Yeah, they're all going back. What is the
deal? They keep going back and forth. And Remy's is coming off.
That is
paid and going on to the regular Genie Plus one.
And I could look it up real quick, but I know for certain that happens August 7th. And so that will happen before we get there.
Oh, right.
What a bummer.
Okay. Yeah.
How should I search that?
Well, we will keep doing this, and we will try to do our best in real time of offering these tips. And sometimes I think revisiting this, how do you do this straight out of the gates, is just going to be important to revisit as all these little details change. But yeah, that's it's tricky trying to figure out. I mean, as they change what goes on which, it really does impact your strategy.
Wait, is this, hold on, maybe I'm wrong. February 24th, 2022. No. The short of it is that 4 rides that previously used to have lightning lanes only for individual purchase will now be a part of Genie Plus and will not be available for individual purchase.
So those moved from individual purchase to, they did that right before our trip. So Space Mountain was just a regular Genie Plus ride. Mickey and Minnie's, I think of them as being demoted. I don't know if that's, but from an individual purchase, they were added to the menu of the Genie Plus.
So ride. These will run out, correct?
Depends on the park. Depends on the ride. Yeah. Space Mountain won't.
Just to let
Mickey
you know,
and Minnie's,
it's Frozen Ever After, Expedition Everest, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and Space Mountain. Yes. So they're not the newest ones, but Mickey and Minnie's Railway is a pretty big deal.
That happened pretty quickly. Yeah, I was surprised that they pulled that down as quickly. I think they're really at this point wanting one. It looks like, especially because they've moved Remy's down so quickly, that they're aiming for one individual lightning lane attraction at each park. But we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. Exciting for her. What I'm most excited about is she'll be going back. It's been a while. It's been a couple of years since I brought her. Yeah. Oh no, that we went for one day last summer. Sorry.
Wow.
But she'll get to experience Remy's and Guardians of the Galaxy, and she has 2 new rides coming her way. So that's exciting. Cool. Okay, Audrey, this was great. Thanks for helping me through that and sharing like some real life scenarios. Sorry it wasn't like a bougie vacation, everybody, but
no, this is exact. I mean, to me, this is a typical vacation. Yeah. So, I love it.
Just shorter than I wanted.
I know, that's the hardest. It's always shorter. I don't care if it's 8 days. It's always shorter than we want it to be. So true. All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Bicycle.
Bye.